Today we're on our way to see the Brown Brothers family group, and for me, I'm fascinated to see how the past meets the future and how they deal with chaos such as COVID-19.
Chris, welcome.
Morning, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Welcome to a sunny but chilly Banksdale.
It looks exactly what I pictured. It's stunning. Obviously we're growing wine up here, but what are we looking at over there?
So we're nestled up on the right-hand side of the King Valley, about 500 metres above sea level, so hence why your fingers might be feeling a bit chilly this morning. But really this is one of our kind of premier vineyards where we grow really a diverse range of varietals, anything from Prosecco to Gamay to Tempranillo to Pinot Grigio.
Yeah, wow. So you are the youngest of the fourth generation of the Brown family. Today in the Brown family, you're in the marketing, in a marketing role. If you look, I mean, beautiful place here to look into the future. If you look out into the future, 20 years ahead, what do you see for the Brown family group?
Yeah. Chris, I think looking into the future, it's hard not to get excited.
Yeah.
We're at a really huge point of change right now as a globe. And I think with change comes opportunity.
Yeah.
And so looking at kind of the next generation coming through, we have a fifth generation of 11 members and counting. And really, you can only get excited about what the future holds. There's changing consumer landscapes. People are looking for different things within the alcohol industry. They're also looking for different things within their own values. Things like sustainability, organic, moderation. All of these trends that we hadn't seen through our generation are kind of coming through in that younger generation. And that just provides challenges and opportunities for us to really look at the consumer palette, look at what people are looking for in the future, and really adapting what we do to really accommodate for that and continue to lead the wine industry.
As far as innovation goes within your industry and the Brown family group, what does innovation look like in the future? What does that mean for you?
Brown Family Wine Group and Brown Brothers has a long history, over 131 years of being innovators, especially being innovators at tough times and kind of changing course and being adaptive to kind of the consumer landscape. Innovation to us is making sure that we're not only keeping up with but leading in flavour and consumer palates, but it's also looking at sourcing. We're obviously an agricultural business, and it's making sure that we're taking into account things like climate change and different sourcing, and also things like water usage, and looking at drought resistant rootstock and how we become better farmers into the future as well. So there's two angles, how we kind of produce and grow our grapes, but then also how we deliver tastes to kind of the next generation of palates, which is really exciting.
So one of the things, Emma, that I'm always interested in is technology and how we use it to either drive insights into our customers or help grow businesses. How do you see technology as a part of your future here?
Yeah, so I guess being farmers, we don't necessarily associate technology with grape growing, but technology is actually really important for our industry, particularly technology in the winery, about how we can deliver different styles of wine through technology. In recent months, we've really had to rely on technology of people all around the country and our global partners working from home. And so it's only taken a pandemic for us to feel truly connected on that length. But technology, really important for us to grow grapes and continue to kind of push the status quo, but also make our fantastic wines.
And since this pandemic has caused a huge amount of chaos around the world, Do you think that that has accelerated your focus on using technology and bringing any of that forwards at all?
Absolutely. I think there's a few things that we've certainly realised internally that we're probably behind the eight ball on, and this has really provided us the chance to kind of bring it to the forefront and challenge how we've always done things. I think also at different routes to market, in particular kind of looking at our e-commerce and how we sell wine to people directly, really has been not at the forefront of the wine industry, but something that we've really had to put a lot of focus into in the last couple of months, and probably done a couple of years worth of work in a few months in order to kind of deliver wines to our consumers in a really effective way.
What a perfect opportunity now, I think, as we start talking about your business back in Milawa, to actually go back and have a look there and see what's going on. Great to be here in Milawa, Emma, and we left the conversation talking about you accelerating your e-commerce strategy, and one of the things that you did do was this new home delivery service through COVID-19. Talk to us a little bit about that, and the second bit is, are you going to continue to do that in the long term?
Yeah, absolutely. It was actually pretty bizarre. So COVID kind of hit us all pretty fast and furious, and that meant shutting down our site. So all cellar door tastings, and obviously our restaurant here where we normally house 100 people plus per day. So we had a whole lot of fresh food in the kitchen and in the fridges, and a group of chefs that we really wanted to make sure that we kept employed. And a team here in the hospitality side that we wanted to make sure that we again kept employed, kept busy through this kind of uncertain period. So we did pivot. We'd never thought about doing home delivery before, but we kind of thought we've got such a loyal community around us. Although we're in a very small town of Milawa, we are only 15 minutes away from Wangaratta and have quite a network of small country towns kind of not too far away from us. So we pivoted and did Browns to You, which was a home delivery service of some of our favourite meals that come out of the kitchen here at Patricia's Table. And it was overwhelming. The community really kind of lent into it and really, I guess, took it with both hands, and we've been overwhelmed by how successful it's been.
And if we look 2 years ahead, are you still going to be doing Browns to You? Is that something now that you've discovered is a bit of a success, a bit of a win?
Browns to You is something that we never thought we were going to do, but is certainly something that we're looking to do in the future, now knowing how much the local community is craving having that convenience, and I guess good quality and value convenience to their front door. So we are looking at repurposing one of the kitchens here on site to be solely for Browns to You deliveries, which is really exciting for us.
And I want to tap into that community thing. We had a chat recently with Milawa Cheese Factory and talking about that community vibe, the support that business provides back into the community. It's something really very much part of the DNA. How do you see two things? Firstly, family as part of that community vibe, and what does that mean for you at the Brown Family Group?
Yeah, absolutely. Our locals are our heart and soul here at Brown Brothers, not only because we employ locally. Many of the Milawa Township, if you go and meet them at the pub in the evening, they've either worked for Brown Brothers or currently work for Brown Brothers. So our community is absolutely key. I think being a family business allows us to embrace our community and look forward. And allows us to kind of say, this is the land that we have existed on for 131 years, the community that we've been a part of for 131 years. How do we make sure we look after those elements into the next 100 years, 200 years, and hopefully beyond?
You talk about the 131 years. I mean, we're surrounded by history. You were telling me earlier that over there we've got your grandparents' first house that your dad and his siblings grew up in. They then moved across to this house here, and the reason that they left was your nan was uncomfortable, her smalls being on the line, you mentioned. And then we've got behind over there is the barn where all sorts of events take place. The history here is incredible. If you look then, as we talked about earlier, being the youngest member of the Brown family, the fourth generation, Looking into the future, changing habits with our consumers, the decline in alcohol consumption with the millennials. What does that mean for you, and what are you seeing with that?
Yeah, absolutely. We always say that we're a wine company with tradition, but we're certainly not a traditional wine company. And that's really kind of the foundation that we kind of see that we can pivot from. We've got the history and heritage and 131 years of learnings that we can kind of really build to be able to be relevant into the future. This next generation coming through is a really interesting one for us. We are seeing consumption of alcohol on the decline, less penetration, so less people coming into the category, and they're also mindful around what they're putting into their bodies. And so that's really key for us. And rather than saying, okay, they're not the people that we're targeting, move on to the people who are easier fish to get, I guess. We want to make sure that we're creating products that are relevant to their life and to their values. So looking at things like moderation in pack size, looking at things like lower in alcohol and no alcohol, looking at things like certain values that people are holding, such as veganism, such as organic and sustainability, that they're not going away, they're not fads, they're going to become part of kind of people's repertoire and what they look for in all of the products that they buy. So we really need to pivot, and we're starting to do that in moderation and lower in alcohol, but there's a whole future ahead for the wine industry for us to really lean into and lead.
I bet there's no doubt at all that your dad and uncle would have ever considered talking about moderation in any way, shape or form. But if we look now ahead again at the future, outside the borders of Australia, looking further afield to China, there's no misunderstanding that there's some tensions going on between Australia and China at the moment. How do you think that's going to play out for the Brown family wine group?
Brown Brothers has been selling wine into China for the last 20 years. So we're kind of pioneering in that space of trying to work out how we even approach China. And we've had some great wins, we've had some great losses, and we've learned a lot along the way. So we kind of see this kind of scenario just kind of another one of those milestones to get over and work out what the best model is in China. The Chinese market is so fragmented. There's a lot of kind of direct-to-consumer opportunities that don't exist here in Australia, but likewise there's the traditional retail that exists as well. So we're really looking at what model in China works best for the consumer in order to kind of get access to their favourite wines, and then also what works best for us in order to kind of take people on a wine adventure. It's really interesting in China. The Chinese palate is still developing, and so we are finding that our fruity wines, which kind of 20 odd years ago here in Australia were how people were being introduced to wine, are really kind of becoming quite successful in the Chinese market as kind of young female consumers are starting to get into the wine industry. So we're really excited about China still. I think there's a few hurdles that we need to get over, and some of that out of our control, but we're certainly along for the ride.
Emma, it's been fascinating chatting with you today, both at your vineyard and here. I could chat with you all day. Thank you so much for taking the time out.
Thanks so much.